The people of Red Hollow gathered beneath the noon sun, faces tight with judgment and dust. The girl was tied to the whipping post in the center of town, her wrists raw against the rope, her hair matted with tears and dirt. A wooden sign hung around her neck, shame. No one said exactly what she'd done. Some whispered she'd loved the wrong man. Others claimed she'd stolen bread for her dying brother. But in that cruel summer heat, no one cared for the truth. The sheriff spat, the preacher prayed, and the crowd waited for humiliation to do its work. "Please, please let me go," she cried, her voice trembling through the square. But mercy was a language this town had long forgotten. From the edge of the crowd, a stranger watched, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dust-beaten hat that shadowed his eyes. His horse waited behind him, restless, as if sensing the weight of what was about to unfold. His name was Eli Carter, a drifter who'd seen too much war and too little kindness. He didn't belong to this place, but something in that girl's cry hit him deeper than he expected. It wasn't just fear he heard, it was dignity fighting its last breath. He pushed through the crowd, boots striking hard against the wood-planked street, each step drawing whispers from the townsfolk who weren't used to anyone challenging their brand of justice. "Don't," warned the sheriff, his hand resting lazily on his revolver. "Ain't your business, cowboy." But Eli didn't stop. The girl's eyes met his, green and wild, filled with a pain that refused to break. He saw bruises on her arms, rope burns deep enough to bleed. "What's her crime?" he asked. The preacher stepped forward, eyes burning with self-righteous fire. "She brought shame upon herself. Upon this town." Eli's jaw tightened. "And that justifies this." The sheriff chuckled, the crowd murmured, but the girl whispered again, soft, broken, desperate, "Please, let me go." In one motion, Eli's hand went to his knife. The rope snapped clean. Gasps rippled through the air as the girl collapsed to her knees, too weak to stand. The sheriff's pistol cleared its holster, but Eli didn't flinch. "You point that thing at me," he said quietly, "and you'd better be ready to explain to God why you kept a woman tied like an animal." The sheriff hesitated. He wasn't used to being talked to that way, especially not by an outsider. The preacher stammered something about sin, but no one dared move. Eli reached down, lifting the girl gently by her shoulders. "You're safe now," he said. "No one's gonna hurt you again." The crowd began to mutter, torn between anger and awe. The sheriff finally lowered his gun, but his voice dripped venom. "You just made yourself an enemy of Red Hollow, mister." Eli looked back once. Then Red Hollow should choose better friends. He led the girl toward his horse, his long coat fluttering like a shadow behind him. Each step away from the square felt like walking out of a nightmare, though Eli knew this was only the beginning. The girl clung to his arm, shaking, unable to speak. He didn't ask her name, not yet. He just wanted her to stop trembling. When they reached the edge of town, Eli helped her onto his horse. The crowd still watched from a distance, their moral fury fading into fearful silence. As the horse started toward the open plains, the girl finally spoke. "Why did you help me?" she asked in a voice small and hollow. Eli looked ahead at the horizon, where the sun bled into the dry hills. "Because someone should have," he said simply. "Because I've seen enough good people broken for no reason." She turned her face away, tears cutting clean paths through the dust on her cheeks. "They called me a liar," she whispered. "Said I ruined him." Eli frowned. "Ruined who?" She hesitated, swallowing the name like poison. "The sheriff's son." The words hung heavy in the air. Eli's jaw clenched. It made sense now. The girl hadn't been punished for what she'd done, but for who she defied. "You told the truth about him, didn't you?" Eli asked softly. The girl nodded, eyes glistening. "He came to me at night. I pushed him away, but when his father found out, he said I tempted him. Said I shamed them all." Eli's chest tightened with anger. He'd seen this story before, written in blood and fear across too many small towns. They rode until the last traces of Red Hollow disappeared behind them. When they reached a small stream under the canyon's shadow, Eli helped her down. She drank greedily from the water, then stared at her reflection like she didn't recognize herself anymore. "I don't even know your name," she said. "Eli," he replied. "And you?" She hesitated. "Clara." The name carried a softness that didn't belong to her suffering. Eli knelt beside her, washing the dirt from her wrists. "Clara," he said quietly, "they tied you for shame. But shame belongs to them, not you." She looked up at him, eyes trembling between disbelief and gratitude. "No one's ever said that to me," she whispered. Eli smiled faintly. Then they haven't been listening. The wind shifted through the canyon, carrying away the echoes of Red Hollow. For the first time in days, Clara breathed without fear. But deep in the horizon, Eli sensed trouble. The sheriff wouldn't let this go. "We can't stay here," he said. "Not yet. There's a place north. A farm, quiet, safe." Clara nodded slowly, though her voice broke when she asked, "And when we get there, what will you do with me?" Eli looked at her then, his expression unreadable. "Ask you the question no one ever did before," he said. Her lips parted slightly, confusion flickering across her face. "What question?" she asked softly. Eli's voice dropped low, almost tender. "What you want." The fire crackled in the darkness, its glow painting the canyon walls in flickering shades of gold. Clara sat wrapped in Eli's old coat, silent, eyes lost in the flames. The wind carried the smell of smoke and sagebrush, and for a moment, the world outside their small circle of light didn't exist. She hadn't spoken since they stopped, though her trembling had eased. Eli sat across from her, sharpening his knife with slow, steady motions. He wasn't a man who liked words much, but he could feel them pressing on both of them like ghosts waiting to be freed. Finally, Clara broke the silence. "You shouldn't have done it," she whispered. "They'll come for you." Eli didn't look up. "They'll come anyway. That's what men like that do, try to finish what they started." Her eyes glimmered faintly in the firelight. "You don't even know me," she said. "You risked your life for a stranger." He paused, then set the knife down. "I know what it's like to be tied up for someone else's sin," he said quietly. "And I'm tired of watching good people pay for the wicked." She studied him, seeing a hardness in his face that spoke of old pain. "You were a soldier, weren't you?" He nodded once. "Union scout. After the war, they called men like me heroes. But we saw what that word's worth." He poked the fire with a stick, sparks jumping into the night. "You start to see how easily men justify cruelty. Just give it a flag or a sermon." Clara looked down, tears glistening on her lashes. "In Red Hollow, they said I brought evil into town. That I tempted him." Her voice cracked. "I didn't. I swear I didn't." Eli's gaze softened. "You don't have to swear to me. I believe you." She met his eyes then, searching them for the lie that never came. For the first time, she saw no judgment, only the quiet, unspoken ache of someone who'd also been broken. Once and never forgot what it felt like. The silence stretched between them, deep and heavy, until the coyotes started howling in the distance. When dawn came, they rode north along the river. The land widened, golden and endless, the kind of country that could swallow a man whole if he didn't know where to look. Clara rode behind him, her arms gently around his waist, her head against his back. He could feel her breath steadying, her fear loosening its grip. She was learning to trust the rhythm of the horse, the heartbeat beneath the leather saddle. By noon, they reached a quiet stretch of pasture where an abandoned windmill stood like a forgotten sentinel. "We'll rest here," Eli said. "You need to eat." He built a small fire while she gathered her courage. There was something about his stillness that made her want to speak, even the words she'd buried deep. "I used to dream about leaving that town," she said softly. "But dreams were dangerous there. They made you different." Eli nodded. "Dreamers scare small men." She smiled faintly. "He said he loved me once. Before his father found out. Then he told them I'd tempted him, that I'd made him sin." She turned away, shame still clinging to her voice. They all believed him. Eli's face hardened. Because it's easier to burn one woman than admit their sons ain't saints. For a while, neither spoke. The sound of the windmill creaking in the breeze was the only voice between them. Eli finally broke the silence. "You ever think of going back?" She shook her head. "There's nothing left to go back to." Her voice was quiet but sure. "If I went back, I'd hang before sunset." Eli tossed a stick into the fire and looked at her. "Then we ride farther. There's land past the ridge, no sheriff, no preacher, just sky and silence. You could start over." Clara's eyes softened with disbelief. "Start over? As what?" He smiled faintly. "As whoever you want to be." That night, the wind rose again, whispering through the dry grass like an old warning. Eli couldn't sleep. He watched the stars, thinking about Red Hollow and the men who'd come looking for them. He knew the sheriff's kind, men who couldn't stand losing control. Clara stirred beside the fire, her dreams restless, her lips murmuring something he couldn't make out. He leaned closer and heard her whisper, "Please, let me go." It wasn't a cry anymore, but a memory, echoes of the days she'd been tied, pleading to a world that never listened. Eli reached over and placed a hand on her shoulder, gentle but firm. "You're already free," he murmured. By the next morning, the calm was gone. A cloud of dust rose on the southern horizon. "Riders." Eli's jaw tightened. "They found us." Clara's face went pale. "What will you do?" He checked his revolver, loading each round with steady precision. "I'll talk if I can. Fight if I must." He handed her the rifle from his saddle. "Can you use it?" She hesitated. "My father taught me once, before he died." Eli nodded. "Then remember what he taught you." The riders were closing in, their shapes clear now, 5 men, armed, one wearing a badge. The sheriff's voice thundered across the open plain. "Eli Carter, you've got something that belongs to Red Hollow." Eli called back, "No, Sheriff. I've got someone you never deserved to have." The sheriff spat into the dust. "You think you can take her from us? That girl's a liar." Clara stepped forward, trembling but defiant. "I told the truth," she shouted. "Your son came to me, not the other way around." The sheriff's men laughed cruelly, but Eli raised his gun. "Enough." His voice cut through the air like steel. "This ends here. You can turn around, or you can die with your lies." The standoff stretched long and cold. Even the wind seemed to stop. The sheriff's eyes narrowed. "You'd kill for her, cowboy? Some girl you just met?" Eli's hand didn't tremble. "No," he said quietly. "I'd kill to remind men like you that a woman's life ain't yours to ruin."